All right, good morning, school. Welcome to episode 125 of the School of S.H.R.E.D. This is the show that's designed to help you shred your old and make better you new. Hello, everybody. Hello, Instagram. What's up? We have a new little layout going on, you Instagram. You look nice today. Hello, hello. All right, hello, everybody. So, this is episode 125. We're going to talk about soreness today and go over what to do about it. The show is brought to you here Monday through Friday at 9 a.m. Pacific Standard Time on Facebook, Instagram, YouTube. And then these shows are audio only. You can go to Spotify and iTunes and search the School of S.H.R.E.D on there. Like and subscribe, do a review, help the show grow organically. Being part of S.H.R.E.D Nation is a full contact participation event. You already noticed, though. And today we're going to be talking about soreness. So if you like to get after it, which I'm sure you do, you might end up being sore at some point in your fitness career or your fitness journey, as others would say. And I think it's important to know what to do about it. And that's what we're about today. Going to give you 5 tips on how to save yourself from soreness. All right. This is your soreness savior. So let's talk about soreness first. A big question that I have, or that people ask me, it usually happens in the first session I have with somebody when we're doing a consultation, is, the notion that you need to be sore to make improvements to your muscular system. So that sounds scientific when I say muscular system, but that's how I treat it. And so it could be for beauty reasons, because you want your body to look a certain way, which is great. So I think that's why a lot of us get into this. But it could also be for more functionality and to reduce the risk of injury, which is a large demographic of my clientele for my in-person business. And a lot of people we just tend to think, because there's been sound bites perpetuated in this industry, that we need to be sore to gain muscle. And one thing that I want to just bring to your attention and challenge you with is that building muscle happens on a biochemical level, a hormonal level. Okay, it's been shown over and over that something with exogenous hormones or androgens can help you grow muscle, and it's because of a hormonal signal. So you don't just don't get this mixed up. Doesn't mean that you don't need to train and that you'll never be sore. But I'm using this as an example to tell that this stuff happens on a biochemical level the same way you tan your skin and get a deeper pigment. So what that means is, the analogy that I use when I'm telling people how you don't need to be sore is like a sunburn. So if you go out in the sunshine, if your tolerance to the sun is low, maybe 15 minutes produces a sunburn. Maybe it produces a sunburn if you go out for 15 minutes. Whereas maybe somebody else who has a higher tolerance, they can go out in the sun for 15 minutes and they don't get red skin or a sunburn. And what happens when you get a sunburn? You start to peel. Okay, you start to peel. You kind of have to restart, right? You can't go out in the sun for a couple of days. Depending on how bad the sunburn is, it might really affect your overall life. Well, this is the analogy that I use to demonstrate that you don't have to be sore all the time. Now, that doesn't mean that soreness is bad. We're going to get into that in this episode. We're talking about how to get through soreness. But I also want to make it really clear that you don't have to go sunburn yourself in order to see muscle gain, because this happens on a biochemical level. Okay, so whether you walk out in the sun for 5 minutes or 30 minutes or 3 hours, there's going to be physiological changes happening the minute you get in that sun. Same thing happens when you start to resistance train. The minute you pick something heavy up, whether it makes you sore or not, you're stimulating muscle protein synthesis. You're stimulating this tissue. You're telling your body you need this tissue or you need more of it. And so The reason I'm bringing that up is because there's a huge continuum and a huge gradient. And I don't want people listening to this to fall into the habit of trashing themselves every single time they work out, thinking that this is what they need to do in order to gain muscle or to stay healthy. You don't have to be incapacitated and sore where you can't walk for 3 or 4 days every time you work out. There's a time and a place for that. And I'm going to talk about how, that will happen here and there, especially if you're, testing your body, but it shouldn't be the standard. I don't think it should be the standard. The standard should not be how sore can you get. The standard should be how well can you control nudging outside of your comfort zone. So if your body's comfort zone is here, if your tolerance line is here, you got to get really good. You got to become a master at nudging and getting just above it, little bits at a time. What will happen is your tolerance to forces will improve, just like your sun exposure ability would improve, right? If you're out in the sun a lot, you'd be able to go out in the sun a little bit more. So 15 minutes, you don't burn, and then 20 minutes, and then 30 minutes, and then 60 minutes. The same can be said for exercise. So just know that you don't have to be sore. Soreness is just a symptom of new stress. See, it gets confusing when you start getting into soreness because there's not really a good explanation for it. And I'm a fitness professional here being transparent with you. The studies that are done, it's like you get some people say that it's from lactic acid. Well, we know that's not true because your body gets rid of lactic acid. Some people say it's from muscle fibers being torn apart and a small injury. That could be as well. It could be. It could be. Oftentimes, what you might notice anecdotally, which is important, I find, is that if it's a new stress, new rep range, a new exercise could be a new activity. You can end up being sore, or it could be a new volume. So you do a lot more than you usually do. You're going to end up sore. Okay. So you can't work out like that all the time. You can't work out of like every single time I work out, I'm going to do more volume because you're not going to be able to do that. If that was true, I would be able to squat 5,000 pounds right now because I've been working out almost 5 years or almost 10 years. Sorry. It doesn't happen like that. So at some point you got to progress to a point where you realize it's all about gas pedal down and then let off the gas. Gas pedal down, let off the gas. It's your programming. And you got to find and custom fit things to you. So something else about soreness that we want to try and acknowledge is that soreness is best done if we have it diffuse through the muscle belly. So through the middle of the muscle, we want to stay away from soreness in the musculotendinous junctions, which are basically your tendons that attach into the joint. So if I did bicep curls and I'm sore within the joint or kind of right at this end, I'm going to want to look at my technique. Maybe you're going too fast. Maybe inertia's rearing its ugly head and you're really ripping and pulling at end ranges. Whereas if you were sore through the middle of the muscle, that's kind of what you're looking for. Typically, getting sore through the middle of a muscle comes from very slow, methodical movements that are nice and controlled. All right. Explosive, ballistic movements, unless you really own those movements, which sometimes I feel like people don't put enough time into owning movements before they explode into them. That's where you can start to run this risk of being sore at the musculotendinous junction. Why is that important? Because the tendons are passive tissues. They don't get blood supply like the muscles do. Muscles are called active tissues. They get blood supply. They can recover, right? Because nutrition is in your blood. If something's not getting blood, it's not going to recover. And so if you're just tearing your tendons over time, they're not recovering at the same rate. And so you can put yourself at risk for tearing things and having some injuries. So that's important to note. So with that said, if you end up sore, if you work out, which is perfectly fine for you to work out and be sore. I just wanted to go into a little bit of a backstory of how you don't have to be sore all the time. Doesn't mean it was a waste of time if you're not sore. I don't want people thinking that. And I've realized over my years of training people that people often think that if they're not sore, that they're not getting benefit. You're getting benefit. You want to be sore for about 24 to maybe 48 hours. If you're sore after 72 hours, you want to try and alter that plan so you're not as sore again. Now, a lot of times you can do the exact same workout 3 days later and you won't be sore again. So your body adapts rather quickly, okay? It's just something to note. So 5 tips that can be your soreness savior. Number 1, if you find yourself sore, say you did legs, we got somebody here. Shout out to Audie here. She said her legs are sore from yesterday. So she's within the 24-hour point. That's a good place to be sore. Within 24 hours is great. Hopefully she's going to recover by tomorrow and at least by the next day. But if you're really, really sore, so say you have sore legs, this is a great example. If you're really sore, the first thing that I recommend people to do is actually to do light exercise on that muscle. I know it sounds crazy. I've had clients come in and maybe we do something new. We explore a new rep range and they come in, they're very, very sore. And I have them do, say, a light leg exercise like a split squat or a few, air squats. And it's really tough in the beginning. Like they're kind of wincing and working through it. But it helps loosen up the tissues by getting some blood into the tissues and warming the tissues up. And that blood and that circulation can really help reduce soreness. So if I'm ever really sore in muscle, I try to do numerous little workouts throughout the day. I might even go do isometrics where I just push my arm up against the wall if my shoulders are sore and whatnot. So is something that you can do, is do light exercise. Doesn't need to do really heavy exercise. And what you'll find is if you end up going to the gym or you end up, working out from home or whatever you're doing, if you're going to work out on a sore muscle, oftentimes you'll notice that you end up getting that blood volume and that muscle pump much quicker because the nervous system's very aware of that muscle, and you can actually get a killer workout in a little less time if you're starting a little bit sore. Okay, and then usually the next day you won't be sore at all. So very interesting. So play around with that. If you're ever really sore, do some light exercise. So it could be some body weight exercise. Like again, if you did, a leg day and then you're really sore, the next day you could do a couple sets, do like a set of 15 air squats every 3 to 5 hours throughout the day. And that right there can help get blood flow, warm the tissues up, and help you just kind of reduce some of that stiffness that you might have if you're sore. And then a lot of times the next day, you won't be sore. So try that out. That help a lot. Number 2 is walking. So I talk about walking a lot on this show. It might be my favorite exercise, walking. Now, walking is powerful because it's a low-level activity. Doesn't take a whole lot of motivation to do. Doesn't take a lot of energy to do. It's extremely good for you. So there's not a whole lot of impact when you're walking. So walking can really, really help reduce soreness. I just got back from a walk a little bit ago. My body's a little stiff. And, getting up today and getting for a walk now, I feel good. Joints are moving. I'm loosey-goosey. So walking can definitely help with soreness. It's the same stuff here that we just talked about with the light exercise, which is increases blood flow, increases oxygenation of the body, increases circulation, and it warms those tissues up. We got somebody dropping in saying they just got home from an hour-long walk. Right on. Shout out to everybody who's either worked out today or is getting a walk or trained legs yesterday. We got people in the comments that are getting after it. So if you're listening to this, you need to feel inspired to get after it right now, because we got a couple people from S.H.R.E.D Nation here that are cranking out leg workouts and going for walks here, and it's just got to 9 a.m. in the morning. So this is a successful day so far. So number 2 is walking. Number 3 is hot and cold showers. This is something you might not have heard before. This is great. I learned about this when I did this Paul Quinn course, Paul Quinn group course, but it was through this company called ICANS in Canada, and it was more of a kind of a functional medicine type course. So it went into adrenals, thyroid, and detox. And so in the detox module, it talked about one of the things that you can do to help increase circulation when you push blood into the extremities and then into the core and then back and forth. You basically help in circulation when you do this, and you can do it with hot and cold therapy. So if you jump in a shower and you do 2 minutes of hot shower, and then you do 1 minute of ice cold, and then you do that 3 times, so you do about a 10-minute shower. This can help. And what it does is when you have really hot water going, it vasodilates your extremities. So basically not all of the, but a lot of the blood volume that might be in your trunk will go out into your extremities. And that's where your limbs might feel heavy. If you've ever had a glass of wine and you feel like your arms kind of get heavy, that's kind of the similar thing where your blood flow is opening up. But anyway, you do this with hot therapy where it starts pushing blood out into your extremities. But then, you get your body comfortable with that. Then you shock it with really cold water. If you do really cold water, what happens is the opposite. Then you get vasoconstriction. And this is where you get cold. You maybe start to like when I go for my walks in the morning, a lot of times I do like some really intense Wim Hof breathing exercises to try and get my body like adapted to cold. Because like right now it's like I'll start to like kind of lose feeling a little bit in my arms. And then I got to kind of move around. But that's because I'm vasoconstricting. My body is vasoconstricting my extremities. So you do a couple cycles of this, and what are you doing? You're pushing blood out, you're pulling blood in. You're pushing blood out, you're pulling blood in. And what you're doing is you're increasing circulation, and it's increasing detoxification that way. When you increase circulation, you increase detoxification. So if there's any of that metabolic waste, that byproduct of exercise that could be lingering a little bit, this can definitely help with that as well. So that is number 3 is hot and cold shower. So 2 minute hot, 1 minute cold. You can rotate that 3 times for a 9-minute shower, and then take the last minute to just enjoy the shower. And then number 4 is alcohol, or not alcohol, water. I have notes here that has water, and then there's an arrow in alcohol. I'm going to talk about alcohol. So hopefully we don't turn the show off right here. So water, number 4 is water. So hydration helps you with soreness. Alcohol does not. Alcohol dehydrates you, and you'll be more stiff, very stiff, if that's the way that you play it. If you go have a drink or 2 or 3, if you have sore muscles, you might notice that that you're going to get more sore. And like I've had it happen where I've been sore from working out, and I go have a beer with my buddies, and then I get up like from a restaurant, and I'm like Charlie horsing, sitting down. I've definitely had that happen. One of the things that I was doing last year is I have a really good buddy of mine. We rolled jiu-jitsu together, and we would do class. We do this competition class, which is like intensely hard. We call them Warrior Wednesdays. And then we go grab like, a burger and a few beers over at this Red Robin. And there was a few times like get done, go over there, have a beer, get a glass of water, be slamming the water, and then have the beer, but it's like kind of dehydrating. And then hamstring cramp up while I'm sitting at the bar stool. So be careful with alcohol when you're really sore. You want to try and hydrate. And so water, like I've talked about, 15 milliliters per pound of body weight. Convert that, that's liters. Then convert that into fluid ounces if you want to. If you want to just shoot for 128 fluid ounces, that's a gallon a day. That will ensure that you have enough water going through your system. That's going to help you facilitate recovery and keep circulation up. Is a big thing, maintaining critical blood volume. So the last thing, number 5, is going to be sleep. So sleep 7 to 9 hours. We've talked about that a lot. We pretty much talk about that every episode here. I'm just going to keep hammering on that. And then we have naps. If you get, one of the things I've been doing recently is I have those little goggles or whatever they are, the little sleep covers for your eyes. And they've been working really well, actually. I've been doing, I do like 15-minute power naps. And I find if I do like an hour or an hour and a half power nap during the middle of the day, that I'm just tired the rest of the day. And because I've been, I've explored this nap thing. But if I do 15 minutes where I'll wake up and I kind of don't feel like it's enough, and then all of a sudden I realize I'm supercharged with energy. Taking naps is great for soreness. Rest in the body is great, but what you have to realize is when you rest, you're also going to be stiff when you go to get up. And so that might be a time to stack this with the number 1 here, which is light exercise. So, maybe you're resting a lot, you're laying around, you're hydrating, and then you're doing some light exercise interspersed within that. And then maybe you go for a couple walks a day, and that can really help your soreness. And the last thing I'm going to talk about here is just things that are not recommended if you're sore. The first thing that I would not recommend is NSAIDs. Those are non-steroid anti-inflammatory drugs. So, these are, a lot of times people will use these, these ibuprofens and stuff like that. I think ibuprofen is the NSAID, maybe it's Tylenol. But anyway, they'll use NSAIDs, which are basically blunt the anabolic response from what you're trying to do. So if you're lifting weights to gain muscle, you actually want some of the inflammatory response. You can use them here and there, but I would say be very careful, because there's science that shows that it actually alters gut flora and the gut microbiome if you take these things on a regular basis. So I remember I had a client about 4 years ago. He was a great client. He's the reason I have a retirement now. He told the young kid, he's like, "Hey, if I were you, I'd go open a Roth IRA and just max it out." And I'm like, "Okay, cool. I'm just going to go do that." And I did it. But anyway, I owe that guy a lot. Sometimes your clients become your mentors. You don't know it. So anyway, he was taking NSAIDs because he had real serious trauma to one of his ankles, full-blown surgery and horrific accident when he was younger. And anyway, he was taking them a lot. And then I started sharing with him this gut microbiome stuff when I started learning about it. And he was like blown away. He goes, yeah, I take those every night. That's insane, you know? And I have all this like GI distress. He had acid reflux, and he had just all sorts of just kind of gut stuff, you know, like bloating and stuff like that. And so I got him doing some kombucha tea, and we kind of switched over into doing some probiotic stuff and then not doing the NSAIDs. And it actually, he had to battle through a little bit of stiffness and pain. But what we did is we used that biofeedback to know, is what the movement he's doing, is it okay? Or is he just violating what he should be doing? And that's causing the inflammation, which is causing him to need the NSAIDs. So he had to become more in tune with his body. And then when he started doing the kombucha, he said it was like an antacid. It was like an antacid. So he, his acid reflux went away, and he started to recover from there. So just be careful with that when you're doing it all the time. On a rare occasion, if I have a hard week of like working out and doing jujitsu, I might like finish the week off with like a nightcap on like a Friday. I might take one, but not enough to even tell you how much. I mean, it's so rare that, I'm talking, maybe a handful of times a year. So, very, very interspersed. So stay away from NSAIDs, especially when you're trying to gain muscle. I'll take them if I'm really sore and beat up, like my joints are sore from like jujitsu. That's different. If I'm lifting, I'm not going to take them because it's going to blunt that response that we actually want. That's a good response. You just have to take that feedback in of like, hey, maybe I should go a little less next time if I'm really sore. The second thing that's not recommended is alcohol. And the third thing, because it dehydrates you, your muscles 70% water. Your muscles need that circulation. They need water. Water maintains critical blood volume, which helps you get nutrition to the muscles to repair. Number 3 is that's not recommended. It's inactivity. So you can rest, which is great, but if you're just extremely inactive and you just lay around, your soreness is not going to get better. You're just going to lay around and be tough. It's going to be hard. I've had this happen in the past where I was really sore and I lay around all weekend. It's like I just get stiffer and stiffer and stiffer. So anyway, that is episode 125. Your soreness savior. Can I get an amen? So thanks for hanging out today. Ask any questions that you have. We're getting ready for our Q&A Friday like we always do, even though it's Tuesday right now. I hope you all have a great day. I hope you learned something here. Do light exercise on the muscle that's sore. You can go for walks to help with muscle soreness. You can take hot, cold showers for muscle soreness. You can drink a lot of water for muscle soreness. And you can sleep and take naps. And then, you don't want to be doing NSAIDs. You don't want to be drinking a lot of alcohol, and you don't want to be super inactive when you're sore. You want to stay lightly active, and that will help you recover quicker. And soreness is not a prerequisite to muscle growth. I just want you guys to know that soreness, a little bit of soreness is totally fine. Yes, it's great. Depending on the person, what their goal is, it can definitely be a beneficial tool, but it is not a guiding principle. Okay. So because it could be okay, right? But it's not a guiding principle of a good workout. You don't have to be sore all the time. Okay. The best program would be one that it has some minimal soreness and maximal gain, and you have energy to go out and produce more inside your life, because your life does not revolve around working out unless you're paid as a profession to work out like me. I'm lucky enough to have that opportunity, but I still like to do things. And if I'm working out like an insane amount all the time, I'm always just tired. And the only thing I'm doing is working out. That's really the only thing I can muster energy for. So we want to think about that. You don't want to always be in this constant state of like recovery. You want to be recovered most of the time, so you're actually fit and you have energy, power, and production, so you can produce more in your life. All right. So with that, I want you to stay strong and healthy in body, stay relentless and energized in spirit, and stay determined in your pursuits today. That's episode 125. Throw me some fire in the comments if you're still with me. Go shred the day and get better in every way. We'll see you guys tomorrow. Until next time, class is dismissed. Bye-bye.